Funeral in Islam. Describe the religious rites that are performed when a Muslim dies. In the life of every Muslim there are various steps which are natural and inevitable. Among them we can see that the sending of man to earth, the aging of man and the death of man. However, each step lie met with specific code of conduct set by Allah and His Prophet. Accordingly, there are several steps to be followed at the death of a person in Islam. Firstly, it is required that when a Muslim is on the point to die and also at the moment of death, the kalimah of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasoulullah is recited repeatedly continuously. The idea behind that is to give the chance to the dying person to recite the kalimah before his death. Secondly, it is recommended to read the Holy Quran and especially the chapters Surah Yaaseen and Surah Mulk during the last moment. Thirdly, after the death of the person the body is washed like one when performing ghusl. It must be done in the same way as when someone is alive. Fourthly, it is recommended and imperative that the body of a man must be washed by men and the body of a woman must be washed by women. It is unlawful though at that time to see and look at the body of the opposite sex. More often, it is the responsibility of the family members. Fifthly, the whole washing of the body and everything attached to it must be done with respect and the private parts of both the man and the woman are to be washed without being seen. Sixthly, the dead body is then put and enveloped in white unstitched cloth known as kafan. Normally 3 pieces of cloth are used for men and 5 are used for women. Only the face is allowed to be visible if mourners want to see the person for a last time. Seventhly, it is a practice that the Quran is read and dua of forgiveness is asked for the dead. Then the body is carried by men where friends and family jostle to get blessings to have carried the body even on a short distance. Throughout the way the kalimah is constantly recited for blessings and to avoid useless takings. Eighthly, the body is then carried to mosque or to an open space near the graveyard for funeral prayers. The men have to stand in rows with the body in front of them. The funeral prayer is said standing where there is no sajda, no ruku, and no qiyadah. It consists of 5 takbir. The first takbir is followed by thana, the second takbir is followed by Surah Al-Fatiha, the third takbir is followed by Darad Ibrahim, the fourth takbir is followed by Dua of Maghfirat and the fifth takbir is immediately followed by Salam. After that the Imam will lead some invocations like O Allah grant forgiveness to our living and to our dead. Ninthly, then the body is lowered for burial with the face resting in the direction of Makkah. The body is laid on its back with wood covering the grave and leaving a vacuum in the grave. Then it is covered with earth. The Imam presiding the burial will again ask dua for the dead. Tenthly, returning home the Quran is read and generally on the 3rd day a prayer is held and sometimes around the 40th day friends and relatives come to read the Quran again to convey blessings of the reading on the soul of the departed. What is the significance of death in Islam? There are various significances of death in Islam. Firstly, according to Islam it is recommended to get prepared for death and to make provision for sharing of wealth. Allah says in the Quran that when one of you approaches death, if he leaves wealth, that he bequeath unto parents and near relatives in kindness. It is done to avoid conflict among relatives. Secondly, its importance lies in the fact that it is inevitable and as it is said in the Quran that every soul must taste death and it is a departure from this world to the next world. Thirdly, death signifies the return to Allah, the one who has created us, and our return is towards Him. Allah says to the soul in the Quran as return to your Lord in content. Fourthly, death signifies the start of a new blessed life in the next world. Whatever we have done good in this world will be rewarded as from the moment we are dead. Allah says in the Quran that every soul will taste death. And ye will be paid on the day of resurrection only that which ye have fairly earned. Fifthly, death also signifies that we will never live forever on earth and that at the same time we are not in control of our lives. At any time death can reach us at any moment and we are thus weak and perishable. This can be proved by the above verses where Allah says that we all will taste death and when Allah says that everything is perishing except the face of Allah. Sixthly, death signifies a deep and serious sign to the Muslims that there will be their turn soon to taste death. As such it is an indication that we will be put to the severe test of Qabr with the 3 questions as who is your Lord, what is your religion, and what do you think/say on that person? Success of these questions lies in leading a real Muslim life on earth. Seventhly, for those who have not prepared for the next world and have lived on this earth as irresponsible servants of Allah, death for them signifies pain, suffering, and real trial. The Prophet said that at the death of these kinds of persons, their souls are afraid to step to the next world as they are afraid of punishment. Allah says that no doubt they will see it with certainty. Eighthly, however, for those who have prepared and spent their lives in the obedience of Allah, for them death signifies a relief from this world and the coming of blessing, tranquility, safety, perfume and mat of paradise, and assurance or prelude of what is waiting them in paradise. For these persons Allah says that there is no fear on them and they are not sad. Ninthly, for these kinds of persons death signifies the sight of the Holy Prophet as from the grave and the possibility of the beatific hearing of the voice of Allah giving the good news to them as sleep as the groom sleeps. Tenthly, for these kinds of persons there is the hope of the possibility of the beatific vision of Allah. The real believers are those who longed for their death and the meeting with their Lord. For them death signifies the start of the eternal peace and beauty of Akhirah. For a Muslim, death must be a moment where he is delighted to meet his Lord in the next world. Akhirah for the real Muslims is symbolized by the lack of pain, sorrow, hardship, difficulties, suffering and the wait for Jannah. Death can also be painful and grievous for those who have forgotten or abandoned their Lord.